Hello, hello, hello. I don't know if this is going to stay. Let's see. No. Hey, Linda, how are you? My other tripod broke, so I'm having to work with this one, and this one is like one of those stabilizer ones that you can use when you're walking around, but the legs on it are a little funky. Can you see? And I'm having a hard time figuring out like how to get it to stand up, because it doesn't want to balance. Not on my bed anyway. Yay! Okay, I got it. How's everybody doing? Ooh, did you have a good day? Is that going to turn the light on? Ooh. Ooh. I probably should have figured out how to use this before turning it on. I have no idea how to get the light to come on, but I think if the light was on, you'd be able to see me a little bit clearer. Oops. See, like, did you see that double flash? Like, what was the point in the double flash if you're not going to stay on? I want the light on. I don't know. I don't know how to get it to come on. For now, I'll just turn it off so that it doesn't run the battery down, because I would assume that if you have it on, that it would run the battery down. Okay, so you can't use it. You can't turn it on when it's not plugged in. Why would it double flash like that and then not stay on? Okay, I will have to figure that out another time. Remember, this chapter is an hour long, so we have quite a bit of content to get through.
Chapter 9, Healing Mother Hunger.
Let me know if you can hear.
Curiosity may find you searching this chapter for answers. Frustrated and eager, you want the solution. I understand this. You want the pain to stop. You're tired of suffering, and you want someone or something to make it better. In the process of healing mother hunger, it's important to go at your own pace. Periodic pauses or steps backward are common. At times you may...
Before we start this, just really quickly, Has anybody heard that Casey Anthony is now on TikTok? She's already got 7,000 followers. Casey Anthony, you know, the woman who unalived her own child. Yeah, her. Um, I think that she's taking a play out of the Gypsy Rose social media influencer bullshit. And I think that she is going to use social media in order to monetize and make an income. I definitely see this as a money grab and nothing more than a money grab. So I know a lot of people are really upset about her coming onto TikTok after, you know, she so brutally unalived her own child and then lied about it for, you know, the last, what, 20 years? And now all of a sudden she wants to come on social media. Like, what a crock of shit. I have not seen her page. I was only told about it from a friend of mine who is in the like true crime community. So I have not personally seen her page. I will not personally be supporting Casey Anthony in any way. I will not be watching her content. I will not be sharing her content. I will not be talking about her because I think the more that we all talk about her, just like what happened with Gypsy Rose, the more people are going to be curious and then they're going to look her up, and then she's going to get even more attention, which she does not deserve any of that. So I think that it's best, even though we all know, like, we don't like her, we don't support. Yes, you have to have a TikTok account in order to see it. We don't support her. We don't want her on TikTok monetizing and off of her infamy for unaliving her own child, but like there's nothing that we can do about it, right? We can make um we can make our voices heard by not giving in to watching her content, right? Like that's the best way to make our voices heard. Like I want you to just think about this right quick because Gypsy has like 9.8 million followers, but if you go to her posts, she's only getting seen by 10% of her following. She's like, when you go look at her views, her likes, her comments, all of that stuff, her last video that I saw, and I saw from somebody else's page, I didn't look her up. She only had like 20,000 likes. And for somebody with 9.8 million followers, 20,000 likes is very low. Like, if you do the math on it, let's just do the math on what 9 million. We'll do the 9.8 million. I'm so bad at this. Hold on. What would that be? So she's not even getting 10% because 10% would be 980,000 off of 9.8 million. And she's only getting 20%, like 20,000 likes and views, which means that she's probably getting 1%. 1% of the 9.8 million people on her account are liking her page and supporting her. 1%. That's fucking low. So we do not want to give Casey Anthony any of that attention. because she doesn't deserve it. Like her daughter deserves to rest in peace after everything that her mother put her through. It's just disgusting.
Wonder if you've made any progress at all, or if somehow you're betraying your mother by getting better. Some of you might wait until your mother's no longer living to do this work. That's okay. Whenever and however you decide to proceed is up to you. You are the architect now. It's natural to feel afraid as you face this injury. Asking for help might be particularly difficult because allowing someone to support you is a vulnerable position to be in. Even if you feel ready for guidance, the power imbalance between you and a helping professional reminds your unconscious of the fear that if someone really knows you, they can manipulate and control you.
Mm-hmm.
For these reasons, it's essential to find a therapist who understands attachment theory and who can gently pace your healing process. As we learn more about the brain, new tools are emerging all the time that help us rewire areas impacted by trauma and adversity. There's new hope for healing a broken heart. Healing mother hunger means you have a chance to earn the secure attachment you missed out on early in life. While this goes faster when you have healthy relationships around you, new inner security can also grow from your own efforts. Healing mother hunger has a rhythm of its own. Heartbreak can flare up whenever the wound is touched by familiar song, a particular smell, a holiday, or a stray thought. When it does, ask yourself, what hurts? Are you longing for affection? Are you feeling scared? Do you feel lost? As previously mentioned, mother hunger exists on a spectrum and relates to the essential maternal elements you were missing. Although there isn't a magic formula for healing mother hunger, identifying how you feel can direct how or where to start. How long it takes to feel secure within yourself will depend on the severity of missing maternal nurturance, protection, or guidance. And if you missed all three, healing may take longer. In addition to the healing exercises at the end of most chapters, this chapter has additional guidelines to help you feel more secure within yourself and with others. 1. Identify your primary missing maternal needs. Do you crave affection and quality time from someone special? You need more nurturance. Are you routinely anxious and afraid? You need more protection. Do you feel uninspired or lost? You need guidance. 2. Understand what I call an apology ache. We'll learn more about this later. 3. Understand disenfranchised grief. 4. Discover the benefits of having a celestial mother. And 5. Find professional support. A qualified attachment-focused therapist can help regardless of where you are on the mother hunger spectrum. If you're facing third-degree mother hunger, a therapist who is trauma-informed is critical. Earned secure attachment. You are designed to heal from illness and injury, but until you pinpoint the issue, the brain isn't sure exactly what to do. Naming the pain of mother hunger gives your body a compass that directs your inner wisdom. Your body appreciates this. The roadblock to well-being has been removed, so you can focus on creating an earned secure attachment. Whether your dominant attachment style is avoidant or anxious, or you land somewhere on the spectrum of disorganized, earned secure attachment can relieve the intensity of your heartache. Earning security comes from developing a connection deep within yourself. And if you are healing third-degree mother hunger, with someone else who is invested in your mental health and well-being. Earning security comes from finding new ways to self-nurture, building authentic protection, and creating a coherent story about your formative years. I realize this sounds clinical and laborious. The truth is that although it's possible to create a healthier attachment style, it takes considerable effort to grow new pathways in your brain. Like beginning a new exercise routine, the first days are the worst. You're tired, off balance, unsure it will work. But with practice, you gain strength, momentum, and confidence. Healing mother hunger is similar. You may find yourself feeling resentful as you think of the work ahead. That's okay. Resentment is natural. Earning secure attachment is a lot to juggle while you're working or studying or caring for others. It seems like an unfair burden, and you might feel tired just reading about it. You might also be confused because missing maternal elements are deeply buried beneath protective amnesia. You may wonder, what did I miss? If you aren't sure, this is a good time to get support. Your missing needs are waiting for attention, but since early maternal messages are imprinted before language or explicit memory, they're harder to find than others. A trauma-trained somatic therapist can be incredibly helpful in uncovering these lost treasures. Healing mother hunger doesn't always require clinical support, just like getting in shape doesn't always require a trainer or a gym. But if John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, were here, he might encourage you to have a therapist anyway, because in his words, quote, "The therapist's role is analogous to that of a mother who provides her child with a secure base from which to explore the world." End of quote. Why does therapy work? Earning secure attachment comes from replacing 3 essential maternal elements that you didn't have. To help your brain do this, you need a sense of history. How did you get here? Think back to your earliest memories with your mother. Was she affectionate with you?
No.
Could you rely on her when you were afraid?
No.
Do you think she was happy?
No.
Did she inspire you?
She did not.
Learning your story puts you in touch with the missing pieces so you can put them back together. With a story that explains your behavior and your feelings, energy for new decisions, dreams, and goals appears. Renewed focus is a sign that your attachment style is healing. Healing happens by knowing what you didn't have so you can fill your empty spirit with the right ingredients. We simply can't change what we don't know.
That's right.
Knowing happens in 2 ways, cognitively and emotionally. Reading and learning about mother hunger is cognitive. This is your left brain in action. Cognitive awareness is the first step. But to create lasting change, you must feel the wound, the sickening emptiness that yearns to be nurtured, protected, or guided. Most of us can't feel this pain without help. After a lifetime of protecting ourselves, the brain simply won't let go unless we are safe and supported. Your lovely brain is waiting for you to find a guide, someone with no other agenda than to help you find yourself. Mother hunger is a right brain wound. Right brain language is expressed body to body in the quality of eye contact, voice tones, and rhythms of response. Through the non-verbal interactions that happen with a competent, well-trained clinician. The right brain heals from, quote, music, not the words, of what passes between people, end of quote. This is how psychotherapy works and why I hope you find a supportive guide. But this is also how healthy connection works. If you have a close friend or a trustworthy partner, some forms of mother hunger can heal without professional support because the relational wound is receiving relational care. Replacing lost maternal nurturance. If you aren't used to being nurtured, it can feel strange when you begin caring for yourself in healthy ways.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel uneasy, annoyed, or disgusted. This is normal. Here are some excellent ways to help you replace the missing maternal element of nurturance. Soak in a tub or saltwater tank. The water is like a human hug. Seek regular body work that is trauma sensitive. Practice restorative yoga to ease emotional wounds stuck in your body. Try a gravity blanket when you go to bed or rest on the couch.
A what? A gravity blanket?
Listen to a mindful podcast like Tara Brach or On Being with Krista Tippett. Walk in nature where silence can find you. Light your favorite scented candle. Drink non-caffeinated herbal tea at night. Take naps when possible. Curl up with something soft like a favorite pillow or pet. Sleep whenever you can, but if sleeping is a way to avoid things, try the other ways to nurture yourself. You wouldn't let a child sleep all day. If your mother is alive, it might be tempting to go to her for nurturance. However, if she couldn't provide affection or tenderness when you were small, she still might not be able to. It's a natural impulse to want her to nurture you. Part of healing mother hunger might mean that you take a break from reaching out to her, at least until you have a better idea about healthy ways to connect with yourself. 21 days to detox and connect with yourself. For 21 days, I encourage you to detox from regular exposure to your mother or thoughts of your mother. To do so, you'll want to practice
21 days may seem like a long time, but just imagine it takes 21 days to like form a habit. And if you're in the habit of always talking to your mom and receiving those criticisms from your mother, breaking off contact for even a short amount of time for 21 days, you'll be able to notice a significant difference in your overall mental health. Like you'll feel better, you'll have more self-esteem, and continuing to, stay no contact even after the 21 days, you just start to feel better and better overall. So, start with, I'm not going to talk to her today. It's like quitting anything, quitting smoking cigarettes, quitting drinking, whatever. If you've ever quit a certain substance or quit doing a certain habit, it's the same thing. Take it one day at a time with the 21-day goal in mind, right?
healthy nurturance and avoid texting, talking, or being with her. For 3 weeks, try the following. Feed yourself as you would a young child. Avoid sugar, caffeine, and processed foods. Write down your thoughts and feelings as you notice them. This is one of the hardest healing tasks, but it's essential. Make sleep a priority. Apps like Calm or Insight Timer are helpful for sleepless nights. Limit your exposure to social media. Check email only once when necessary during the workday. Practice spending time alone without a romantic partner, family member, or friend to entertain, comfort, or distract you. Try practicing solitude in a conscious, present way. Put devices away at night. If you use your device to listen to a sleep or meditation podcast, set it to airplane mode or do not disturb.
Well, that's a good idea.
If all of this seems impossible and you keep reaching out for your mother only to find yourself hurt and disappointed again, consider seeking the help of a licensed therapist. A support group can be extremely helpful if you're currently having addictive habits. Some groups have phone meetings as well as local meetings. I recommend the following: Overeaters Anonymous, or OA, at oa.org. Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, SLAA, SLAAFWS.org. Adult Children of Alcoholics, ACA, adultchildren.org. Or Alcoholics Anonymous, AA.
When I was doing a lot of the healing work that I did, I went to Codependence Anonymous. If you've never heard of Codependence Anonymous, it is a thing, and they have groups. And that's kind of where I recognized that my codependency was bad. It was bad to the point that I didn't know how to be alone because I had never been alone. That's how codependent I was. And that I was accepting relationships that were harmful to me to avoid being alone. So I had to do a lot of work on myself in order to accept that I was very codependent and try to break some of those codependent behavior and habits. And it took a really long time. I'm still working on it now, and I finally have gotten to a point where I enjoy being alone. Like, I don't always need to be around somebody. And that's a good thing, because for so long I had put myself in harm's way because I was just avoiding being alone.
AA.org. Replacing lost maternal protection. If you weren't protected as a child, anxiety feels normal. Earning secure attachment means making your life as safe as possible so that you can reset your baseline. Your body has no idea what relaxation feels like because you've been alert and ready for danger most of your life. The previous nurturance strategies help with protection too, because they are calming. But here are some additional things to consider. Avoid movies and shows with violence. Turn off the news. Listen to your intuition if someone or something feels off. Calm your overactive amygdala with relaxation techniques. Try the previous nurturance recommendations and the alternate nostril breathing exercise described earlier. Move your body gently. Exercise motivates a sleepy, dissociated nervous system. Spend time with safe people.
You have to learn who's safe.
Listen
and I have a book about that too.
Podcasts about attachment. Therapist Uncensored is a good one.
We can read that one next.
Conscious, healthy dissociation soothes fear. It's helpful to find ways to turn off your fear brain so your body can relax. Happy movies help. In this way, media can be a mindful distraction instead of a mind-numbing escape. If your mother is enmeshing, as we saw with Malabar in Wild Game, protection includes establishing new boundaries with her. To learn how to do this, You might need to avoid her for a period of time. Physical and emotional space allows you to experience your own emotions in ways you never have before. Free to flow, your emotions can teach you what you need to do to feel safe around your mother. Replacing lost maternal guidance. We grow up breathing in parental expectations. So many of us unconsciously create a life that reflects their values instead of our own. The hopes parents have for their children are commonly a mix of overt goals and covert ones, the ones they don't say out loud. These messages can be contradictory and confusing for you. For example, your mother may have told you you can be anything you want, but she only encouraged your brothers to pursue higher learning. Or maybe your mother felt threatened by the idea that you might become successful and leave her, so she discouraged your talents. When you feel there's an invisible wall between you and the life you want, objective guidance may help you. You need a guide who can uncover the hidden contracts you have with your mother or other caregivers that are holding you back. Such hidden contracts might be internalized lessons that whisper, be happy, but not happier than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Or get married so I don't have to take care of you anymore. Or make a lot of money so someday you can take care of me. An exercise in closeness. I help women locate missing maternal needs with a simple but powerful exercise. You can try this with a trusted friend. Before diving in, we do some preparatory work to build trust and warmth in a safe therapeutic space. Then I ask my client to think of me as her mother. I reassure her that we can stop at any time. When she's ready, I stand up and walk to the center of the room, about 4 feet from her. Here's an example of a typical interaction. Me. I'm your mother now. I pause and wait until her eyes grow dim. Then slowly, I take 2 steps forward. I watch. If she softens or leans toward me, I step forward a bit more. I pause and wait. As she relaxes, I step back to the first position and watch. If her posture sags or her face looks sad, this informs me that she didn't want me to go away. I ask, do you want me to come back? She says, yes. So I step forward again. How does this feel? Better. How did it feel when I stepped away from you? Sad. Empty. We just learned she prefers closeness. She will benefit from nurturance tasks to heal mother hunger. Let's see what happens when I step toward a client and she winces or shrinks. In this case, I stop, back up 2 steps. I wait. I take note of her body language. If she's still uneasy, I take 2 more steps back to allow more space between us, watching her face, her eyes, and posture for cues. Does this feel better? Yes, she says. Okay, let's try something else. I roll my desk chair between us, creating even more distance. I watch her expression. Sometimes her posture sags or she looks confused. So I ask, how does this feel now? She says, too much. I don't like it. Okay. So I put the chair back where it came from and step forward again, but only 2 steps, and ask, better? Yes, better. I see her sigh of relief. We found the sweet spot. She wants proximity with others, but not too much. Sometimes, before a client can relax, I literally step outside the office door. When a client needs me to back away in this exercise, it's likely she didn't feel safe with her mother, suggesting that early protection was missing. We each have a window of tolerance for the amount of human closeness we want. Throughout this quiet, powerful exercise, I'm assessing a client's attachment preferences. How much is too much? Understanding the unique configuration of your attachment style is like finding your inner compass or map that directs your self-concept and feelings about others. Locating the inner compass driving your attachment needs illuminates your unconscious choices. Like finding a missing piece of jewelry, one you forgot you had. It's exciting, and you don't want to lose it again. To preserve the reclaimed gem, we discuss what just happened during this brief exercise and what it means. Such a conversation simultaneously activates the left brain and fortifies the right brain's new awareness. This is a step toward integrating implicit memory and explicit memory, making your story more personal and useful to you. Apology ache. Many of us are experts at acting like it's no big deal when someone hurts our feelings. We swallow pain to avoid conflict. Alternatively, some of us seek revenge when someone hurts us. We want them to feel as badly as we do. Most of us learn these strategies very young because when mom hurt our feelings, she didn't apologize. We became masters at pretending we were okay when we didn't feel okay. Apology ache is a term I created for the longing that your mother would see how much she hurt you and say, "I'm sorry." The yearning for her to show remorse. You wait for an apology, hoping your pain will stop when she recognizes what she did wrong. But lots of mothers don't acknowledge their hurtful behaviors or apologize for them. They aren't sure how, or they feel too much shame, or they simply can't empathize. The legacy of an unapologetic mother is incredibly hurtful. You might not recognize a sincere apology from someone else because you never experienced one in your formative years. An apology is more than just the words, "I'm sorry," although those words are a great start. A true apology involves two things: recognition of your pain
And behavior
and
change.
repair efforts to mend hurtful behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Let's explore what an apology isn't. An apology is not an excuse. Anyone who follows up the words "I'm sorry" with the word "but" should make you nervous. "I'm sorry I hit you, but you need to stop," whatever, the whining, arguing, pouting. Or, "I'm sorry I yelled at you, walked away, punished you, but you are just so difficult." An apology is not a denial. If someone tries to talk you out of your reality, that's not an apology. That's a way to avoid feeling remorse. Words like, "Was it really that bad?" or "You're just being too sensitive," add insult to injury. This type of apology asks you to ignore how you feel and adds shame to the hurt. Shaming efforts hide behind false apologies, like when someone suggests, "I'm sorry you feel that way," as if your feelings happened in a vacuum. Not only is this pseudo apology unhelpful, but if you were hurt before, now you're probably mad too. Apologies are not manipulative. If someone apologizes from a place of self-pity, they want your forgiveness without earning it. It might sound like, "I'm such a mess, I can't help it when I drink too much or check out other women or work too late or forget your birthday. It's just the way I am." This is not an apology. A manipulative mother might apologize like this: I'm sorry I hit you, but you really made me mad. When you act that way, I can't help it. Then she starts crying. But I'm sorry, I love you. Please come here and give me a hug. This type of apology is toxic. It puts the blame on the victim. When a mother blames you for her behavior, she's reacting from her own unexamined powerlessness. She distorts the truth of what is happening. You did not and do not cause her to hurt you.
That's right. It's not
A real
your fault that somebody else is unable to control their own emotions. If they are reaching out to put their hands on you in any sort of way, or to verbally or emotionally abuse you, it is their problem, not yours. You did not cause their reaction. Their reaction is their reaction because they're unable to regulate their own emotions, because they are emotionally immature. It's not your fault.
She might look like this. I see that my drinking has upset you. I've been late to pick you up from school. I've been moody and unkind. This is not your fault. I'm so sorry that I've hurt you, and I will not drink anymore. This mother sees her impact and makes every effort to amend her behavior. She might seek professional help or attend 12-step meetings for addiction. In this way, she repairs and builds trust by her ongoing predictability. She stops the cycle that creates mother hunger. When a mother apologizes in a healthy adult manner, her humility and emotional maturity model what a trustworthy person looks like. A trustworthy mother is aware of her power, recognizes when she causes harm, and repairs the damage. Without treatment, however, abusive mothers do not have this capacity. If you have third-degree mother hunger, you may never receive a real apology from your mother. While this might be a hard thing to acknowledge, it's important to know that you can heal without her involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Her apology would certainly make it easier, but it's not necessary for mending your broken heart. It's rare to give up hope for a mother to apologize or change if she's still alive. Instead of facing reality, you wait for the apology because that seems easier. Consider this a gentle invitation to try. Waiting for her apology delays your ability to grieve early losses, fill in missing pieces, and start enjoying your life. Waiting might be the biggest roadblock to healing. The necessary next step is facing grief. Understanding grief. In my practice, I listen to heartbreaking stories of abandonment and sorrow. Ridicule, neglect, and other toxic forms of maternal abuse add up to a lifetime of grief. Well, the stories are unique. There's a haunting similarity in each one. A type of eternal waiting and hoping for a mother to act like a mother. The fantasy of a loving mother hides behind the quest for something to fill the unnamed void. Pathological hope is some of nature's finest work. Protective mechanisms meant for bonding wire us for hope, even in the face of ample evidence that change is not forthcoming. So we hope for change instead of feeling what's real. Our brain protects us with emotional blinders until we are ready and able to face the legacy of missing maternal love. Busy orchestrating the perfect life or numbing out with too much of everything, we find the grief of mother hunger all too easy to avoid. In this way, grieving lost maternal love gets delayed until we have the proper support. Quote, lack of safety and security during essential developmental periods, lack of responsiveness to our affective needs, and lack of recognition of our internal states of mind may lead to dissociative states later in life, as well as to prolonged and complicated grief. End of quote. Complicated grief is exactly how it sounds, complicated. Resistant to any particular stages of grief, the complicated sadness that is woven into the texture of mother hunger is deeply misunderstood and hard to reach. Perhaps this is because the topic is taboo or because betrayal blindness keeps it hidden. Grief related to mother hunger needs a framework that invites permission and acknowledgement for the complicated, unique ways each of us mourn the loss of maternal care. Are you grieving the mother you didn't have? Are you grieving how much this attachment injury has impacted your life? Are you grieving lost dreams? Are you grieving broken relationships and destructive behavior?
All of the above.
Are you grieving all of these? Disenfranchised grief. When a parent loses a child, friends and family circle the wagons of support. When someone gets hurt in a car accident or faces cancer, communities respond with food, flowers, and visits. Suffering needs soothing. Heartbreak needs belonging. These efforts help us grieve. Without public validation, however, grieving stalls. Dr. Kenneth Doka coined the term disenfranchised grief to explain a phenomenon that occurs when we experience a loss that cannot be openly acknowledged, like the grief that comes from terminating an affair. Since it was a secret and wasn't supposed to be happening, there's no support for the loss. Disenfranchised grief has nowhere to go. When we don't have a name for what hurts or a place to talk about it, the grief process freezes. When I read A Mother's Reckoning, Sue Claibold's memoir about being the mother of one of the Columbine killers, the concept of disenfranchised grief really hit home. I could feel her despair, her utter helplessness and shock. How could she mourn the loss of her son when he had harmed so many in such a horrific way?
I couldn't imagine
Who could she turn to for understanding? In the months that followed this tragedy, Sue felt like a frightened animal and lost 25 pounds. She experienced panic attacks and refused chemotherapy for breast cancer. Isolation and fear brought her to an understanding of her son's suicidal feelings. Frozen grief made her want to die. While I intuitively sense the sticky nature of grief, Dr. Doka's concept of disenfranchised grief helps me cognitively grasp why and how mother hunger is so paralyzing. There is no place to talk about this injury and very little public awareness. Even the now widely respected ACE questionnaire fails to list, quote, having an abusive or frightening mother on the questionnaire. It does include witnessing one's mother being abused, however, illustrating how we can make room for mothers as victims, but not as perpetrators. Disenfranchised grief is so intrinsically woven into the fabric of mother hunger that it's normal. Frozen grief is the essence of mother hunger.
Isn't it interesting,
In
though,
the field of psychology,
that we can see mothers as victims, but it's hard for us to see mothers as perpetrators of the abuse? Why is that? Why is that we can't, as a society, understand and recognize that women can and do cause harm to their own children more so than their fathers do. Like, yes, we can all acknowledge that men are inherently more violent than women, but that doesn't make women less violent than men when it comes to their own children. I think that women abuse their children a lot, and it's just unseen, unheard, and it's it it's unprocessed because we don't want to look at our mothers in a negative light. We don't want to say that she's not a good person, but I think it's okay. It's okay to say that your mother is a terrible person, especially if she abused you in more than, one way, because you can be abused in a lot of different ways. Um, but I think it's time for a society to recognize that mothers can and do cause a lot of harm to their children.
The concept of normal grief tells us that grieving happens in predictable stages that end with a resolution. Abnormal grief, however, according to psychology experts, doesn't move through predictable stages. It stays stuck in patterns of mourning. And patterns of mourning look like the following: 1. Protest, arguing or demanding, and angry outbursts. 2. Pining, prolonged mourning, being haunted by loss. 3. Despair, depression, hopelessness, resignation. And 4. Disconnection, dissociation, frozen mourning. Sometimes addictive processes, behaviors, or substances step in and the mourning process doesn't happen at all. Well, since each woman with mother hunger is lodged somewhere in the morass of abnormal grief, stuck in various patterns of protest, pining, despair, and disconnection, these symptoms are not abnormal to me. In fact, these particular grief symptoms are so common that I give them a name. For example, an apology ache is part of the pining stage. Naming an apology ache helps women begin letting go of the fantasy that their mother might eventually say, "I'm sorry." It also helps women avoid transferring the apology ache to a spouse, a friend, or a grown child. Let yourself wallow. Living with mother hunger is like being trapped inside a cage of rage and longing. Like Sue Claybold, sometimes you can't eat. Sometimes you eat so much you feel sick. These patterns are normal. As you heal, the emotions you weren't allowed to feel as a little girl will be rising up. Sometimes grief will feel like anxiety or anger rather than sadness or despair. Allowing yourself to feel these emotions may seem wrong and disorienting because we're wired to avoid emotional pain. Plus, our culture expects us to brush off emotional adversity quickly, leaving us without time for grief. In Tina Gilbertson's book, Constructive Wallowing, she shares a powerful tool that works really well for healing mother hunger. She invites us to wallow in sadness, grief, and despair. I love how Gilbertson reworks wallowing, reframing the negative connotations of laziness or self-pity into an active, useful process. Gilbertson sees wallowing as a W/allowing, allowing emotions to have room and attention. While some might consider wallowing indulgent, I think Gilbertson is right on. Wallowing is a powerful way to move through difficult emotions. Pushing them down doesn't work, we just get depressed. Repressing them won't work, they leak out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Denial further abandons the little girl inside of us who tucked away the emotions her mother couldn't tolerate. We already know how to do that.
So what does
It's
wallowing
time
mean?
to learn something new. Wallowing may sound scary. You may wonder if negative emotions could overwhelm you. What if you never get out of bed? These are normal concerns, but remind yourself that avoiding negative feelings is actually avoiding yourself. Healing comes from facing your fear, from being present with the wounded parts of you that your mother didn't see and couldn't tolerate. Let these disenfranchised feelings wash into your soul. Face the pieces of yourself that you've been hiding. Wallow. Whenever possible, take time away from work, partners, or children to tend to these feelings. Cover yourself with a heavy blanket and curl up as if you were being embraced by a loving mother. Belonging. Here's how one woman describes her healing. She says, 3 years after my mom died was the first holiday that I did not hurt from her absence. I celebrated my mom with some pics on social media and spent the day with my garden. Mother Nature has always held reverence for me, and I treasure being her steward. I have mother cousins and mother-in-laws that are treasures to me, and spent time being celebrated by my family with a beautiful meal. Finding places to belong heals mother hunger. Without a sense of belonging, we default to addictive substitutes to numb our loneliness. While loneliness might feel safer than risking connection, finding a place where you have temporary relief from your own thinking is an essential piece of healing mother hunger. Bruce Alexander's pioneering work on addiction makes this truth irrefutable. In his research, he noticed that when rats were placed alone in a cage with a bottle of regular water and a bottle of cocaine-infused water, they drank the cocaine water to the point of illness and death.
Oh my God.
However, when Alexander gave the little mammals something to do, toys, wheels, and some companions, other rats, the animals drank the regular water and avoided the cocaine water. Since rats
Isn't
have
that
similar brains
interesting?
to ours, Alexander's study highlights and normalizes our need for human belonging. Finding a place to belong sounds much easier than it is. You've probably tried.
Mm-hmm.
Groups of women can be scary places.
Yes, they
You might have
can.
learned that churches aren't safe either. For these reasons, I love 12-step programs. They are free, non-judgmental places to belong. If the idea terrifies you, try a
I don't know what your thoughts are on 12-step programs, but I found Alcoholics Anonymous to not be, I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the groups that I was going to, but I just found them to be really unhelpful. Um, so it wasn't something that I really enjoyed. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I didn't really care for them.
phone meeting or an online group like In the Rooms or Seeking Integrity for support. For links to these resources, see the supplemental PDF. Divorcing mom. Sometimes a mother's behavior or her lack of remorse is so painful that it requires you to separate from her. Divorcing mom is a last resort that's not about a solution for mother hunger. It's more of a survival strategy. You simply can't allow yourself to have continued exposure to her. When you face this decision, be sure you make it with the consultation and care of a professional who witnesses your heartache. Deciding to divorce your mother should never be done in anger or as an attempt to win and finally feel powerful. Instead, like any other healthy boundary, the decision of this magnitude must come after careful consideration and from a place of peace. That's not to say you won't feel sad. Grief is part of any divorce process. And divorcing your mother can be the most painful divorce of all. A celestial mother. When you're healing from a traumatic breakup or injury, you need someone to be there for you. Someone you can rely on at 3 a.m. when things feel bleak, or first thing in the morning when the world feels heavy from the onset. In these moments, your heart seeks a maternal figure who knows and loves you, someone who isn't burdened by your fears. In such moments, some of my clients find it helpful to lean into the embrace of a celestial mother. Historically, humans have revered and worshipped both feminine and masculine deities. In fact, many recognize the Judeo-Christian God of the Bible as being both male and female. However, patriarchal forces have sought to erase the feminine side of God from the collective psyche. For this reason, you might need help creating a celestial mother. Your resourcefulness will come into play here. Let your imagination assist you. If you're not feeling particularly imaginative, consider the effort it took you to create a fantasy mother as a little girl. You can do this. Let yourself dream. What would your ideal mother be like? If your mother is still alive, you may hang on to the hope that she will change instead of doing the imaginative work this requires.
She's
But
not
by
going to
now,
change.
you already know this is a delay tactic and a way to avoid grief.
She's not going to change.
If you have no idea how to create an ideal mother, you could explore the goddess figures that we have historically worshipped. For a nurturing mother, think of the Greek goddess Gaia. Maternal soul of the earth, Gaia provides life and nourishment. Sometimes known as Mother Earth, Gaia has a name in each culture. If you need a protective mother, Kali is a powerful goddess to call on. Kali is the Hindu goddess who destroys evil forces and preserves freedom. Widely worshipped in India, Kali is the divine protector. Imagine what she might do to help you. Who would she fight? Where would she take you for safety? For guidance, you might study the goddesses who balance fierceness with wisdom, like Athena and Persephone. How do they make difficult choices? There are other places to look for inspiration also. Are there women in your life who you find attractive? If so, what draws you to them? Is it their warmth, strength, confidence, or beauty? If you can't think of anyone personally, what about a character from a book or a movie who inspires you? Maybe it's Wonder Woman with her superhuman powers, bracelets that stop bullets, and a magic lasso that makes people tell the truth. Inspired by love, the creator of Wonder Woman was William Marston.
I don't think I ever
His
watched
mistress, Olive, happened to be the daughter of Ethel Byrne, who, along with her sister Margaret Sanger, developed what is now Planned Parenthood and provided some of the earliest access to birth control. There is a lot to this story if you need inspiration. The point here is to allow yourself permission to turn inward with a deliberate purpose, to find a celestial mother who can offer you kindness and love. Then lean into that love. As you do, love will weave its way into your tissues, and in time, you may become your own inner mother, filled with a well of tenderness and protection. EMDR. For those of you already working with a therapist, you might know about EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Maybe you've tried it. If so, I hope you found it helpful But if it didn't work for you, perhaps it's because you couldn't find a safe place. Safe place is part of the original protocol designed by Francine Shapiro. While safe place is a proven strategy for beginning EMDR, it can be a roadblock for those of you who have no idea what a safe place actually feels like. A few years ago, using EMDR to help a client imprint her celestial mother, I found the standard EMDR protocol safe place blocked the process. In fact, again and again, this happened. Many of my clients simply couldn't find a safe place. Women without maternal protection often don't know the sensation of safety, and asking them to find a safe place seemed to cause unnecessary frustration or shame. Avoidant clients got annoyed and decided to skip EMDR. More anxious clients tried to do it to please me, but the protocol was stale and cold. After a few failures, I was frustrated too. I decided to see if EMDR could work without a safe place. It did work, and the benefits were too good to ignore. Quietly, I was getting great results. Attending the 2017 EMDR International Association conference, the work of Marshall Walensky and Katie O'Shea caught my attention. Their working paper titled, "When Safe Place Doesn't Work," literally stopped me in my tracks. Reading their paper validated my experience with Safe Place and also educated me about a small window of time in utero before a fetus is connected to the biological mother. During the first 5 to 6 weeks post-conception, the primitive nervous system is in place. We have a brain at the end of 4 weeks, and there are approximately 100,000 neurons firing. So it's possible that some of the experience before we were attached to our biological mothers is stored in our body and mind. Perhaps, they suggested, in that tiny window before attaching to an anxious, ambivalent, or unhappy mother, there might be a body memory of safety. Feeling better, I unapologetically modified the EMDR protocol with clients with renewed confidence that an internal sensation of safety might exist. Fast forward another year, and I meet Dr. Laura Parnell, mother of the attachment-focused EMDR. She validated the reasons why the counting protocol that is also part of traditional EMDR wasn't working so well for me or my clients. Helpful guidance like this is so, helpful. Hopefully, if you gave up on EMDR previously, you might consider trying it again with a clinician who has trained with Dr. Laura Parnell. Long-term relational trauma. When the body has become a battleground, disorganized attachment patterns are enduring. Earning security requires more effort than healing milder forms of mother hunger. If you are a victim of third-degree mother hunger, first and foremost, you need to find a safe relationship with someone invested in your well-being. Patricia DeYoung writes that, quote, long-term relational trauma leaves our psyches indelibly marked. Third-degree mother hunger is a long-term relational trauma.
It can be
The
hard to
indelible
find
mark
someone who has
is scar
your
tissue
best
on your
interest
heart.
in mind.
This is why you need a competent guide to help you. Trauma from third-degree mother hunger won't heal without a safe relationship. The lack of this relationship explains why women don't get better in residential inpatient hospitals. Fundamentally, the treatment for this unspeakable wound must focus first on the disorganized attachment rather than the trauma, because the broken maternal relationship is the trauma. A safe relationship with one trustworthy adult is the cure. Once a safe relationship is established, trauma work might not even be necessary because the Attachment healing is trauma healing. This sophisticated attachment healing process requires a trauma-informed therapist, someone who can safely get lost with you in the disorientation and disorganization that you feel in your mind and body, someone who can tolerate the depth of your grief you're experiencing. Only when you feel felt, when your body knows that someone is deeply experiencing this madness with you, can you come home to yourself. Out of the Storm is a helpful resource for finding a trauma-informed therapist. For a link to this resource, see the supplemental PDF. Closure. Inside each woman who seeks support for mother hunger is a baby girl whose language I get to learn. My clients don't care what car I drive, where I live, or whether or not I eat gluten. Well, initially some of them do. But as we settle into treatment, they mostly need me to be fully present, to notice each micro movement in their face and respond accordingly. I don't always get it right, but when I miss a cue and there's a momentary disconnection, it's a chance for repair, a chance to model what it looks like when a caring woman takes responsibility for the well-being of the relationship. This is good therapy in action. This is what a trauma-informed therapist provides. Healing mother hunger is a non-linear, fluid process. No timeline can reveal the necessary effort or schedule that will yield the best results. However, what I have found very helpful is to let go of the idea of a finish line. You don't need this pressure. Like an apology ache, seeking closure is longing for a fantasy. Even when you use all the tools and your life starts looking up, there will be days when grief finds you again, like on Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a particularly dreadful day for so many adult daughters. Here's an email I received. It captures the feelings that many women experience. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for the invitation to write to you. I hate Mother's Day. My own mother was insatiable regarding cards, gifts, and phone calls, and none were good enough for her. The day was a setup for failure each year, and I dreaded it. I became a stepmom in my 30s, and then this day was doubly awful, since the 3 kids were off with their dad, or all of us would go to buy presents and cards for their mom. I felt like an imposter and a fake, trying to participate while thinking, this is not my job. I don't have children of my own, and each year I need to prepare that my stepchildren may or may not text or call. It's a lonely day. If I go out and grocery clerks, restaurant personnel, or shop owners wish me a happy Mother's Day, I respectfully smile, but inside I feel like a fraud. My own mother once said, having stepchildren, that's not really being a mother, is it? This year completely caught me by surprise, and with the virus, it was extra hard. Next year, I will be better prepared. When grief creeps back in, it can be discouraging. You may think it's a sign that you're not healing, but this isn't true. The ongoing grief that is part of mother hunger is connected to what's known as ambiguous loss. It's difficult to face a problem without a promise of a quick, pain-free solution. The lack of tidy closure, however, is the nature of disenfranchised grief and ambiguous loss, not an indication of pathology. So rather than expecting your heart to be free of periodic achiness, notice the moments when you no longer hide under a blanket of shame. While this wound may never feel fully healed, you will gain an inner peace as you replace lost maternal care and transform pain into purpose. In this way, You will become more able to tolerate the inevitable dark days. I find Patricia DeYoung's work with toxic shame helpful as it relates to healing. She says that we can become shame resilient. Quote, shame can be transformed, and the transformation happens in connection with someone who is close and regulates our nervous system. End of quote. The same holds true for Mother Hunger. As you work to replace lost nurturance, protection, and guidance, remember that this is an ongoing process. You're building a new brain. And like any new routine, it takes time before you feel the results. Please don't do this all by yourself. You've been alone long enough. Your body is designed for well-being, but we are relational creatures and we need connection with others. Healing Mother Hunger brings you home to yourself, but it's really helpful when you have a village around your home. Please refer to the Reclaiming Damaged Dreams and Goals exercise in the supplemental PDF. Chapter 10.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here because chapter 10 is also about an hour long. So we'll pick back up tomorrow with chapter 10. This this picture that I'm coloring is taking me forever because there are so many small details. Like, look at that. It's hard to see the teeny tiny details, but these are all little small details that need to be colored in. And I'm trying to make it the same on both sides. So I thought that I would be done with that one by the end of this reading because I started on it last time. But I'm still working on it. That's okay. I'm not in any rush. It's not like it's not like it's going anywhere. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to empty this. Oh, I see. Okay. No, that doesn't seem right. Oh my gosh, I didn't break it, did I? I hope not. Oh my goodness. Whoopsie. Oh my goodness. I think I broke it. Okay. I don't know what all this red stuff is. That's what I get for buying a $5. I'm gonna have to trash it. What the fuck? Yo, I don't know what I did. I'm gonna have to throw it away. I don't know what happened to it, but like this, obviously there is something wrong. I don't know what, but like all this red stuff is I think this is like its little motor. I'm going to toss it before I make a mess with it everywhere. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.